They think it's improper or wrong for you to make an appointment with a physician and only get to see the physician's assistant or nurse practitioner? I would worry if my problem was not diagnosed correctly or I got no relief. It's especially frustrating when you're charged the same rate as when you see the physician. It's very annoying when you make an appointment with a doctor, especially the one for which there is a long queue. You are waiting. And when your turn comes you are sent not to the doctor but to the nurse. It's terrible. Wanna fight? This is at least a piggy. Yep. I feel the same. If the doctor is too busy, why didn't they tell me that to begin with? If they told me that, I'd be meeting with a PA or NP since the doctor has no available appointments. That'd be okay. Only had one doctor's office let me know in advance it wouldn't be the doctor. Nobody wants any kind of surprise right off the bat when going to a doctor. What's the best martial arts to put a teenage boy in so that he learns quickly how to stand up for himself? Does he want this, or is this just your solution to man up your kid so you don't have to give him actual support? Because if he doesn't, all you're doing is sending him to get beat up even more. If it's the former, you should aim for something that focuses on actual sparring rather than dry practice and kata. It should also be something that doesn't get him into unnecessary trouble when he applies it. More grappling and control than striking and kicking. Wrestling is the absolute best base for fighting. It teaches you power, endurance, speed. And contrary to popular belief, it's very technique heavy. They train that shit like it's military and they encourage you to dominate your opponent. All that, and you don't have to worry about getting punched in the face. And in a real fight, good luck getting a shot off on a wrestler before he slams you and makes you his new GF. Boxing is pretty good too. I would say you don't want to have him learn MMA until he has a solid base first. A lot of the techniques are watered down somewhat compared to the arts it gets its techniques from. Whatever you put your son into, you should do it yourself. I have a coworker whose son make one of those kick to the face wise martial arts. And the boy is a fucking asshole. Always in problems. The last thing he did not long ago was knocking out a guy in party with him recently hitting 18. Now is facing criminal charges. So, please, just don't throw him in a gym to learn just to damage people. Teenage bastards with dangerous skills need a lot of contention, and if he can easily kick your ass, you'll end unable to guide him after some age. Just saying though. Take it or leave it. For me, I'm sure when my son reaches some age I'll start some self-defense activity with him. Why is nobody asking what caused COVID anymore? We didn't ever find out for sure, did we? It came from the meat market because that's where first few patients came from. As for source of origin, it's unknown, but scientists speculate it came from bats. And they did sell bat meat in that meat market. Some people go as far as to say the virus is artificial. The fact that first few patients came from the meat market is enough to say that the virus came to existence there. Bill Gates actually predicted this would happen long time ago. I think he said something like these Chinese wet markets are a factory for creating new diseases and quat. There's no definitive answer, but we do know some of the earliest cases were found in Wuhan. I believe there are two main theories, that it either came from the wet market in Wuhan or it came from the viral research lab in Wuhan. Both are legitimate theories, as wet markets often allow diseases to pass from animal to human, but also the research lab in Wuhan was studying coronavirus in bats, so that is also a very real possibility. We will never know for certain, but my guess is one of these two. It was originally a non-human coronavirus existing in bats and snakes. Then it made a slight mutation and ended up being able to jump to humans. In Wuhan, China, people eat weird animals caught in the wild and sold in live food meat wet markets. Most likely it was bat soup made with wild-caught bats that was the culprit. Since the Wuhan incident, researchers have found at least 22 coronaviruses living in animals that are regularly consumed by humans. That means another one could mutate and jump, and off we go on another pandemic. What more you need to know? Source: The Economist magazine. Globally recognized for its integrity. Economist sources the CDC and the WHO among others. What hobby screams rich people? Hunting poor people in the woods on a remote privately owned island. Collecting antique cars and or sports cars. Skiing should be somewhere on this list. Collecting watches because their time is so valuable. Flying, like planes, training fuel rent/buy upkeep. Having a private pilot license and owning a general aviation airplane. The amount of money you need to drop for just those two things is probably $300K 1M, not to mention that even short flights can cost thousands in fuel and maintenance. There is a genre of YouTube channels which is house renovations, and they talk about what's in and out like it's clothes. I teach sailing. I'm 16, almost 17. I get paid $80 an hour to teach a billionaire's kid how to sail. Kid arrived in a boat coming from his yacht every day. Kid was chill. TLDR, I felt paid $80 an hour to sail with a kid and talk about Mario Kart and Fortnite. I went out with a girl once who got excited about going to Yacht Week in Monaco and quat. That was something so far outside my life experience that I didn't even know how to respond. Anything that has to do with horses, but especially polo for me, because you need to maintain multiple horses and have the time to train yourself. You pretty much need to be a multimillionaire to enter Formula 4, the first step of the many F1 feeder series. Let alone climb the ladder all the way to Formula 1. Fursuiting. Decent custom ones start around $2,000 and can easily hit 5 figures for top of the line. Not to mention the travel expenses of attending a convention. That's why they're so often paid for with STEM jobs. Vintage guitar collectors. Specifically the ones who just hang them up as wall candy and don't play them. As a guitarist, it genuinely upsets me. They need to be played.